what was different about the HIV is Not a Crime conference is that people with HIV were the focus and were the people who organized the conference for the most part. At other conferences, first of all, we often feel like we're there because we're a market. We're surrounded with pharmaceutical booths and support, or that we are there to serve some other agenda. Another organization has to have some people with HIV involved or whatever. Not that we don't get anything out of those, but they weren't events created by us for us. And it really felt like a rebirth of the people with HIV self-empowerment movement, where we are focusing on each other and being each other's support and experts and coming together to build the strength of our voice and create change. A number of people have said that this conference, the solidarity and the unity and the clarity of focus felt like the early days of the epidemic, where we were really banding together and there was no question about what our enemy was, and we were relying and depending on each other. When it is just people with HIV in the room, when the conversation and voice is principally coming from people with HIV, it is a different voice than a lot of other institutions around the epidemic, because people with HIV don't have an institutional agenda. We only have an agenda with the epidemic. Earlier in the epidemic, there was a lot of support for networks of people with HIV, for opportunities for people with HIV to get together, social, recreational, advocacy, political, but it was to get together and for us to push forward our own leadership, the leaders that we choose. It's important to have people with HIV everywhere we can, but when the representation on an important committee or board is someone with HIV who's been appointed by some agency or some group that isn't controlled by people with HIV, they have a different responsibility, and that is a different voice. It doesn't mean it's less of a voice or that it isn't an important voice, but it's a different voice than the voice of leadership selected by people with HIV. And that's what the self-empowerment and the networks, what they do. They give the people most directly affected the opportunity to choose their own leaders and put them forth. And that's what many of the attendees at the conference were. They were the people really supported by other people with HIV in their communities to come to this conference.